I think we just saw the first real authoritarian move of the Trump administration, and we need to talk about this. So, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, 3 million Virginians voted on whether to redistrict. This was an effort to combat, this was gerrymandering, but this was a gerrymandering attempt in order to fight back against the Republican gerrymandering attempts in multiple states, including Texas. This was like an attack back. Republicans really freaked out about it. And today, the very heavily biased Supreme Court sided with the Trump administration on this. This is not okay. So the Supreme Court's argument is that they should have gone through different channels and that they didn't quite do it right. And we'll get to their exact wording later in the episode. Stick around later in the episode. And we'll be looking at a couple of things. We'll be looking at Trump's response to this, which is truly sickening. And we'll also be looking at the AP and what the CNN has to say about that. So let's do that. And there's a couple of other things we'll talk about later on the show in a later video for today. We'll be talking about Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's actually currently beefing with Trump. And when I say beefing, I mean he posted something that was maybe a little bit insensitive towards Donald Trump. And they're fighting back at that. He kind of posted a picture alluding to Trump's death. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that later on the show. Stick around. Subscribe to see that video. But, so we definitely do need to talk about this Supreme Court decision. Before we get right into it, I would ask that you please like and subscribe. It supports independent media, and if you wouldn't mind commenting on this video to, we're seeing a bit of algorithmic suppression recently, and I don't think that's a good thing. So stick around and support Gen Z media. Let's get right into it. Starting off with the AP, this will give you a bit of a background on what we're talking about today. I'm going to read this and interrupt it every once in a while. So it says, the Virginia Supreme Court on Friday struck down a voter-approved Democratic congressional redistricting plan, delivering another major setback to a party in a nationwide battle against Republicans for an edge in the year's midterms. I don't really like how they say this. I mean, it is true, and I do appreciate that the AP is generally fairly in the middle of things, and but I think this is just wrong. I think it's just blatantly wrong what they said. Democrats are genuinely trying to fight back against, repeated Republican gerrymandering attempts that are just not okay. And I think it's right what the Democrats are doing. Usually I wouldn't support gerrymandering, but with the Republicans, I think we can definitely do that. So let's continue. It says the court ruled 4-3 that the state's Democratic-led legislature violated procedural requirements. That's what I was talking about earlier with they could have gone down different channels. When it placed constitutional amendment on the ballot to authorize mid-decade redistricting. Voters narrowly approved the amendment on April 21st, but the court's ruling renders the vote's result meaningless. Waiting for a majority, Justice D. Arthur Kelsey wrote that the legislature submitted to the proposed constitutional amendment to voters in an unprecedented manner. This violation irreparably undermines the integrity resulting from the referendum vote and renders it null and void. Okay, so what we're seeing there is, Justice D. Arthur Kelsey saying that basically it's illegal, which is funny because, Republicans are doing it. And I guess, to be fair to Mr. Kelsey, he can't control what the Republicans are doing, but I still think it's insane that that's being struck down. And, so that's just genuinely not okay. If you didn't know, it's possible that with this redistricting effort, Democrats could have flipped 5 red Republican seats to blue, which would be a crazy gain, seeing as our current edge, the current Republican edge, is actually 5. There's only 5 seats of difference in the House. We got to win the House. We got to win the House. And we can't do it without your vote. I'm 16. I can't vote in the next election, but you can. And you need to make your vote count and vote blue. And a little bit of a reminder, the Voting Act's right was gutted earlier this week by the real Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, that is. I didn't talk about that because I've been sick for about the last week, so I have not been able to upload. I am sorry. This is the first episode with this new mic, so, look forward to that. And this is just bad. All right, so let's get to what Trump has to say about it. All right, Donald Trump kept it pretty short and sweet on Truth Social today, which is kind of surprising. Before we get into it, can I just point out this funny picture that he uploaded while I was gone over the break? So right there, you're seeing a picture of Donald Trump with the caption of, I have all the cards, And there's a couple things that are interesting with this. So first of all, I think it's kind of ironic that it says, that they're all wild cards, which makes sense with Donald Trump. They're all the things he does is just fully random. And then the next funny thing is that he's showing us his cards. So he's got all of the cards, but he's also showing us the cards. So, kind of kind of disadvantageous there. I'm not a military strategist, but I feel like maybe you don't want to show them all your cards. And then the last thing is that video game. Sorry, not video game. And the last thing is that game is Uno. The one game where you don't want all the cards. On the screen, you can see Donald Trump's tweet in response to this. He says, "Huge win for the Republican Party and America in Virginia. The Virginia Supreme Court has struck down the Democrats' horrible gerrymander." I think he meant horrible gerrymandering attempt. "Make America great again, President Donald J. Trump." It's kind of funny that he keeps, saying, "Make America great again," even though that's what he ran on. Isn't that your job, sir? Isn't it your job to make America great again? So I just think that's a little bit weird that he's still saying that. I feel like we've been here for 15 months. Are we not great yet? I mean, obviously we're not, but we're not going to be under this man. Anyway, so he says it's a huge win for the Republican Party. And I think that's something we should genuinely focus on. So before he says a win for America, he says it's a win for the Republican Party. He's slipping up, and he just revealed his cards for real this time, and it's just not good. It's just not good. I don't even know what to say about that. Huge win for the Republican Party? I mean, for the first time in his life, he's not wrong. It is a win for the Republican Party. But you know what? America just lost. America just lost. I think, to me and to the voters, it is not just an issue of, the gerrymandering attempts to make the election fair. I think part of the fact of the matter why this is problematic is the fact that this is directly undermining what the voters say. 3 million voters turned out and made it clear through a democratic process that America was born on that we want the redistricting in Virginia. And the president, the Supreme Court, who is in the back pocket of the president, said that no, elections shouldn't count. I think we do have to make it a little bit clear that there's a bit of a step from saying that this election doesn't work to saying that all elections don't work. I don't think we have to worry about elections being canceled in the midterms. I don't think we have to worry about the I don't think we have to worry about the presidential election being canceled. We don't have to worry about these things yet. But we should worry about the fact that the decision of the voters was just undermined and said, no, let's not do it. 3 million people came out. The people of Virginia came out and said, yes, we want this. And the Supreme Court said, no. If the people want this, that's what we get. The people wanted Trump. In 2024, the people wanted Trump, and now we have Trump. There's no arguing with that. There shouldn't be arguing with 3 million people coming out and saying we want this. That's what I have to say about that. Sorry if this video isn't formulated like usual. I'm very frustrated right now, and I can't believe that this is where our democracy is going. It's just the general idea behind this that really frustrates me. But please do like and subscribe. We are having a bit of algorithmic suppression going on, so if you want to help us out there, please do. So, thank you. And if you want to have a conversation with me about it, feel free to follow my Instagram and then DM me. I will have that in my bio. So if you want to follow my Instagram, please go do that and have a conversation with me. I appreciate it.